my name's Adam McGovern. I used to sail, and junior was the Mirror. Then went to the Laser Radial. Only spent a short time in that because I wasn't very good. And then got a GP14 and went into that with my dad actually initially. Now though, I am the Northwest Regional Development Officer for the RYA, so working very much at a grassroots level. But still do a fair bit of racing. I think my sort of career highlight would probably be as tactician on the team that won the Blind Sailing World Championships.
I'm Chris Robinson, and at sort of junior level, I learned to sail in Merlin Rockets and GPs. Just sort of in a lot of different boats with a lot of different people. Highlight of my sailing is probably winning the Merlin Nationals and the GP14 Nationals. It's quite a long time ago now. And then I currently work as a sailmaker for Gulcher Sails. I've been working there for nearly 10 years and really enjoy doing that. So, Ian
Dobson. I first started sailing in Wayfarer with my parents. Did a short stint in Optimist, a bit of a shed of an Optimist. But then I was fortunate enough to inherit a Mirror, and then went sailing Mirrors for quite a few years against a lot of the good quality guys in that fleet, and then eventually moved on into the 420 up the U circuits that way. Nowadays, I'm a civil engineer and I design marinas and ports and harbours and stuff like that. So I think a sailing highlight, I think must be back to the Mirror days. I think beating the lads at Brightling Sea Mirror Nationals 2002. I think that was a good quality venue. I like to still go back there.
So mine is Matt Mee. I kind of missed out the youth sailing scene and really learned in GPs and Merlin Rockets at the club, sailing against most of the lads. And then highlights wise, probably winning the 200 nationals actually with my now wife Emma. So that was pretty cool. But again, other nationals and things with Chris Robinson and the odd Eskimo trophy beating the guys is always a highlight. I now work in the NHS. I'm training to be a foot surgeon and still sail the 200 with Emma.
Yeah, I'm Stu Bithell. As a junior, I used to sail Mirrors, crewed Fireflies. On my youth days, I went into the 420s, where I did a couple of campaigns with Jonny. And yeah, alongside that, we did a lot of GP14 sailing and Merlin Rocket sailing down at local sailing club. Since then, I've been a full-time sailor pretty much since I left school. I competed in the 470, in the Tornadoes, and currently campaigning for Tokyo 2020 in the 49er. I guess the career highlight for me is probably, almost certainly is a silver medal at the Olympics. But some of my fonder memories are still racing against these boys and winning championships with a few of my mates.
And I started sailing Mirrors with my brother Christian against all you boys for a long time when we were kids. I guess officially the highlight is 2 bronzes at the Paralympics, but my personal best thing was probably qualifying for the 420 Worlds team. That took a lot of effort back in the youth days. I was lucky enough to do 10, 12 years sailing, but now I do recruitment and I still sail when I can in the RS200 against a few people on this call.
And that leaves me, Jonny McGovern. I grew up sailing at Hollingworth Lake with all the boys, progressed through the RA pathway from Mirrors into 420s, then into the 470. Probably my career highlight will be winning silver medal with Christian Birrell in the 470 at a World Cup. I now sail an RS200 with my wife Sarah, and I thought it would be a good idea to get the boys back together and discuss how we grew up with sailing in the Northwest.
It's definitely sailing on Wednesday afternoons, like when we were in sixth form. pretty intense racing, borrowing lasers or picos or whatever we could, and that was a great way to sort of get some intense racing in, and that definitely helped me learn how to sail.
But that was a bit of typical of the time. Was pretty much everything we did was like a race or a competition, wasn't it? Who could get changed the fastest, who could get rigged up the fastest, who could de-rig Alan's boat quicker than he rigged it.
Pool, table tennis, everything.
Yeah, table tennis, yeah.
So
We got pretty good at table tennis from what I remember.
yeah. It was good because you guys were all obviously going off doing your youth level stuff, more organised stuff for the 420 or mirror even, or that sort of thing, and then you'd come to the club and that would kind of trickle down to like myself and Robinson and others who it was good. It was just created a good environment, I think.
It was always so social, wasn't it? That's the memory I think. I always used to just enjoy spending time with everyone. You know, we'd play football, table tennis, loads of stuff, wouldn't we? It'd be fun. Be good banter.
I used to love the little Northwest Travellers Trophy sort of circuit as well, where we used to go around in the mirrors. And
who won that, by the way, Johnny? Can you remember?
It's gone from my memory, that one. Actually.
I think I can remember.
The venues that we used to go to, though, they're just the smallest little ponds you've ever seen.
Can anyone recall our last beat up at Dovestones?
Yeah, I can.
me and Nicky were having a tacking duel, and then you went screaming across the lake on a broad reef.
I spotted that right shift coming.
No, you didn't.
He's like, just hold on a minute here, Stuart. It's just going down to Berwain. Remember going down to Berwain, Matt, and we've seen all them llamas.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the first time I met Robbo.
What the hell are them things in the field? We've never seen them before.
What about when you turned up with your new boat, Stewie, and found reverse gear at Staunton Harold? Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
One of the best things I remember was actually, ironically not in the Northwest, is when we all went off to Mirror Europeans. A lot of us Mirror Europeans in Medemblik. And I think it was race one of either the Europeans or the pre-Europeans. We all took round with a mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of us from Northwest Circuit.
Yeah, I remember that.
We're like, what the hell have we driven all the way out here for? We might as well just be sailing in the Northwest.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
I think that's a really good example though of how it how we accelerated the process, the learning, and then you actually get somewhere and you're all racing each other. You know, there's lots of examples of that, I think, aren't there? When that's happened.
I used to love the Big Four in the winter.
Yeah.
Woodworth, Blackpool and Fleetwood, New Year's Day, and the not in the Northwest, but the Brass Monkey just outside, wasn't it?
I remember doing a New Year's Day race after having a big night with you boys the night before and going, Chris, the boat doesn't feel right here. The rudder feels a bit weird. And we went in and we both had a look at it and thought it was fine and went back out and we put the rudder on backwards. It was literally just shaking in my hand all the way around. I was like, it doesn't feel right, this.
The funniest thing was that you came in and looked at it and thought it was still fine and went back out though, didn't you?
Yeah.
It is funny though. I get asked quite a lot, you know, what do you think it was when you're growing up that got you all good at sailing? And I always, rightly or wrongly, I always refer back to like the class of '92, the footballers. And I always think we kind of had our own little version of that, like all the same age, same interests, and we just pushed each other on and we loved it, didn't we? And I'm convinced that little talent hotspot we created organically is the reason why we're all doing so well at sailing just now.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. You don't have to be at Hailing Island or Weymouth. You know, these were little puddles, but probably all learned lots of things really quickly because they're often really wacky or there's some sort of variable where and we didn't have to necessarily go 300 miles down the road. It was there on your doorstep.
Yeah.
And we were probably in the not quite the last era, but the era when the club racing was still strong.
Yeah.
You know, you could go back and do some quality club racing before we got sucked out a little bit out into the wider areas, driving down to Weymouth and driving down to Plymouth and places. But I think there was still a lot of good club racing to be done at home as well.
Yeah,
I think a big thing helped with it was also back then class racing was really big. I think all the stuff that we've learned through the club racing we would have learned a lot faster class racing rather than handicap racing. We would have probably still learned the same stuff handicap racing, but you learn a lot more in boat handling if you're racing against other boats at the same spec as your boat. And
but I had a little think about it this afternoon, and actually one of the things I thought was we had committed parents, but we actually all wanted to do it, didn't we? They weren't pushy. We actually loved going. You know, if you look at us all, we all absolutely love sailing, don't we? I mean, it wasn't our parents that were forcing us to go, were they?
A realization for me was I was still trying to play football terribly, and played for a Sunday league team, and both me on one side of the pitch and then Stewie on the other side of the pitch were both on the bench for our respective teams, and we stood there in the freezing cold. Like, I think we both got I certainly probably got a 10-minute run out at the end, and it was like,
what are we doing? Why are we doing this?
Yeah, and
should we go sailing? We can do that all afternoon.
Yeah,
in a wetsuit.
I got a lot of my opportunities through club members that went sailing and took me away to events. Like Nick Hornsby took me to the first GP Worlds I went to. I didn't do any of the sort of youth stuff. So even though there's a lot of people with parents that sort of support it, I feel like I was supported with sailing, but not through the travelling and going out doing youth squad stuff or anything. But I got my opportunities through club members that took me away to events, and I did a lot of that with Matt Me. Like Matt, when he drove, then that gave us the opportunity to be able to travel about and stuff.
That's back to what I think what maybe Biff was saying or something, but we all used to race GPs, we all used to race Merlins, all that stuff as well. And so, you know, we were out doing all those GP and Merlin events and stuff. So, you know, it didn't matter that we were doing, you know, some youth stuff as well. We were still all in the same groups doing other stuff, you know?
Oh yeah, you loved your Burwain, didn't you? We loved our Winsford. You boys loved your Robinworth. It was good times, wasn't it? I used to love racing Ripcords on a Sunday.
I think we picked up a lot from sailing with those guys. Like you said, I mean, the corners, we had our crewed for Stu's uncle a few times and stuff, and I probably learned more on those few races than loads of coaching sessions I went to.
And the other thing that those club members did actually, you know, a lot of them used to lend us the boats. You know, big bits of kit, aren't they? And you know, at the time I used to put the odd ding or two in some of them, and you know, I got to thank a lot of these club members that wanted to give me and lend a nice bit of kit for us.
Yeah, we had guys lend us at enterprises and stuff to go and do the Ent youths and things back in the day.
I think we actually had we used to, on a Wednesday when we were done with our own set, we used to like go to the payphone that was downstairs, and there was like likely culprits that we would ring up. What do you remember, Biff? Like Dave Mello, we used to ring him. He'd not turned up yet. Oh, let's give Dave a ring, see if he can borrow his Merlin.
Borrow your boat, mate. Yeah. I'm ringing him. I'm ringing him.
I still have to do that for you now, Stu.
Yeah, you do have to do that for me now, Nicky.
Yeah.
He's got a bit more clout now, though.
Yeah.
I think probably my person that had maybe not the biggest, but definitely a significant influence was, to be fair, probably Mars Bar actually.
Yeah, I was going to say the same.
Because I think the first GP Worlds I went to was it 2002? I think was it in Abersock, and that was the one that he won. I think it was 150, 160.
Yeah, we were there actually.
And he won it against Richard Estow and Jim Hunt and all this sort of crowd. And I think, oh wow, you know, he's awesome. And then, however many years later, you know, 4, 5, 6 years later, to go and race the GP Worlds against Marsden, against Estow, and for me to win that was awesome. That in parallel with then later having gone 470 racing with Jonny and with Matty here, and to go and do some 470 racing with Neil Marsden was just great fun, you know, just really great fun. It's good.
But for me as well, a bit of a strange one, but like a big influence in my time was actually all of our respective parents, like Roger, Les, you know, Nicky, you know, Mark Birrell and Chris's parents, you know, everybody that we sailed against, like the big influence. Like I remember some real proper good conversations with some of each other's parents as well around the sailing.
particularly at Hollingworth, the dads, some had like particular traits, like Les was always the go-to guy for like anything like nitty-gritty rulesy or team racy, or sort of, he thought he'd won the Wilson and stuff. He was a bit of a, and he was that sort of sailor, I think. He was like
Good defender.
Yeah, he loved the scrappy stuff.
Had to your brother after you hit it off at Cafe Point as well. That was a good Les one. Wasn't it?
Your dad was a technical man, wasn't he, Matty? He needed a sail measure in. That's the man.
Yeah,
He was your freak, man. Your dad was your light wind specialist, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was really good. Like, he was really good at times.
Yeah,
even as he, I mean, when I crewed for him, like he did some really big things right. Like he put massive emphasis on starting, and then basically if he got in front, that was it. He was like, put the boat between the mark and your next man, and like that was literally it, and it worked a lot of the time. And then even like there were other people like Graham Knox and people like that who facilitated a lot of what we did at the time. He was quite relaxed. He let us make use of the club in probably pushing the limits of
we found the line at that club on many occasions, didn't we? Not just for the sailing.
Yeah.
Adam probably remembers the powerboat course that we all.
I was on the sailing committee at that point. I was sat there in a meeting, just joined the sailing committee, and the manager at the centre comes in and says, "I've kicked Jonny and Stu off the powerboat course."
And me.
And he's like, "And Matty, why?" They were racing each other.
No, I wasn't racing. I was trying to get away from him.
Stewie was driving that one.
Put yourself between him and Mark.
I guess this will sound a bit wet though, but biggest influence for me is everybody on this call. Like how much all of us drove each other, and so, like we're all really good friends still, and still in the sport and everything. And I think without having our group of sailors, I know we weren't all from the same club, but we were in the same group, weren't we, going round? To me, that was what drove me further, was just having people that were pushing each other. I remember like nipping out of school, going to Robinson's house on a Wednesday to try and get ourselves to go up to the club and all that sort of stuff. It was, without the boys, I don't think we'd have carried on into the sport.
You're right, though. It's completely organic and natural, and it was perfect, wasn't it?
Sail. I think all of us agree on this call that we used to get out of school, run down the lake, cycle down the lake or whatever, and get there. I remember peak of my sort of saying when I was growing up, I think I sailed 4, 5, 6 days a week. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. Just couldn't get enough of it. And sailing your own sometimes doesn't make any odds, does it? Just get down there, get some time to water, and have some fun, I reckon. It's
got to be productive, like sailing as well, though. When you so rather than just a little potter about, I'll just go over there in that part of the lake, and if you sort of sailing relatively hard, like trying to get your tacks better, you go out and it's right, we're going to do a tack every so often, or if you have a couple of boats to do a bit of two-boat tuning, then do that. And
sail different boats with different people. That would be my top tip. Just getting out on the water and with different people. I learned so much from doing that.
I'd say as well, particularly for the younger guys, is not worrying where you are on the curve all the time. So there'll be times when your mate seems a lot better than you are right there then, and it might be kind of size dependent, or they've learned something new. And it's just keeping that self will and confidence. Just keep ticking away, and you'll find that your time will come.
I always think though, one key advice is just try and the sailing is obviously the most important bit, but try and enjoy the weekend. Enjoy. When you're not on the water, try and enjoy it. Try and have a game of football, have a laugh with your mates. Play some table tennis, make the weekend fun, so you actually want to go back next weekend.
Yeah.
So. I think we were very lucky that I never felt forced to go sailing, and never felt like, oh, Dad wants me to sail this weekend, so I better go. I used to enjoy, racing you boys in the Mirrors 420s. Still do enjoy racing you in the 200 and stuff, but try and make the whole weekend fun, because otherwise, if you can't enjoy it, and the social side was massive for me off the water.
I agree with all the points. The one thing I think Dobbo mentioned earlier a bit, but you know, we kind of all had an apprentice. We all had we all sailed with someone and learned loads from them, a local club member. And it's those same people that 3 or 4 years later, you're saying, can I borrow your boat for an evening, or can I actually take it to nationals? Would you mind? And that, those relationships, I think, certainly put heaps of opportunities on the table for all of us. And I think that would be one of my key things, is go sailing with some older people that are more experienced, because might feel not quite as much fun at the beginning, but it might present really cool opportunities in the future.
All right, well, thanks, guys. I think that was a good little summary of some good stuff from the past. And thanks for all your time. Yeah, when we're next racing, that's got me the taste, hasn't it?
We get straight on VR now, right? We're having a little VR race.